Well, hello there, and welcome to the latest edition of the About Small Business podcast. In this edition, we've got an exciting guest. We've got Mandy Forster from AA Flags, an established business from the Consett area. Mandy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure to have you here. Now, I think a lot of people watching this may already have heard of AA Flags, and there's a clue in the name as to what you do. But can you just elaborate a little bit? Are you just sat there making Union Jacks? Is it a little bit more complex than that in terms of the services that you're offering?
Yeah, we make mainly flags, but other textile products as well. We do flags for golf clubs, hotels, builders. We make all the flags that you see on in the ground at St James's Park.
Wow.
For war flags. That keeps us busy. So we're busier when obviously there's a coronation or a royal wedding, or
Maybe
the Olympics or
a football match or something
FA
like that.
Cup finals and what have you. But we're kept busy all year round.
Do you send stuff out worldwide?
We try not to because of all the red tape and the paperwork associated with export. And to be honest, after 30 years, we still haven't scratched the surface of the UK market yet. We're doing a lot of MOD work lately,
right,
for the Army and the Air Force, and we've just been given another contract for the Navy. So it's a lot of national flags and signal flags going out, and associated products like flag poles for Land Rovers to carry the signal flags.
Oh, okay, so you manufacture the poles as well?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Right, okay, so basically the clue is in the name.
Yeah.
Right, great, and there's enough work there in your view to be that specialist.
Yeah.
People know who you are.
Yeah, there's not many flag makers left, traditional flag makers left.
Yeah.
A lot of our competitors have gone down the digital print road.
Right.
They don't make the flags, they don't sew the flags traditionally like we do.
Yes, I was going to say.
Consequently, we're getting a lot of work from them. They're subcontracting the sewn flags to us.
Right. So fundamentally, you've got a factory, haven't you, that's based in the Consett area.
Yeah.
And you've got a number of machinists within that factory.
Yeah.
I'm just getting visions of for those people of a certain age, maybe used to watching Coronation Street.
I know what you're going to say.
Mike Baldwin's factory.
The Knicker factory. Yeah. It's a bit like that.
So I don't think it's fair to call you the Mike Baldwin of Consett, but possibly the Carl O'Connor.
Yeah, well.
There we go.
Yeah, I've been called worse.
But I mean, you have been in business for a while, haven't you?
And 32 years.
32 years, wow.
Yeah.
That is quite incredible.
Yeah.
I think considering that most businesses don't make it past 5, that's quite a success story.
Yeah.
So, in terms of, I suppose, next question I would like to ask is your name, because given the length of time you've been together, was that a cynical effort to be the first listing in the Yellow Pages?
Of course it was. But it was my initials as well at the time, because I'm Mandy, but my real name
obviously
is Amanda.
Yeah.
And my maiden name was Armstrong, so it's Amanda Armstrong.
Right.
So, but yeah, when people used to use the Yellow Pages, and when Google listed things alphabetically instead of sponsored links, we did come up first.
It's funny, isn't it? Because sort of young people perhaps won't have any clue what we're talking about when we say Yellow Pages. But I do remember, because I used to work in advertising sales for a local paper, and the amount of business that, advac, cleaning or whatever it was to get to the first listing. And that was kind of just the simplest. I suppose that's your search engine optimization of yesteryear, isn't it?
Yeah. Taxi companies are a great example, aren't
yes,
they?
A1
Some of them
taxis
are still called, yeah.
Yeah, and we've got an A1 in Consett, haven't we? That's there we go.
Yeah.
It's funny, these little things, isn't it? Just little tweaks just to make your business and little business decisions that you might employ a marketing company thousands to come to now. Simpler times.
Yeah, small decisions. I remember being made redundant from the job I was in before I started the business. I worked for a flagpole company,
right,
in Bladen.
Oh, okay.
They imported fiberglass flagpoles from Finland, of all places. And when the builders market hit the recession in the 90s, early 90s, the company started ordering less stock from Finland because the builders were salvaging the old flagpoles from the short sites, and they were only ordering new foundation bolt sets. So subsequently, the company I worked for was stuck with a load of stock of fiberglass flagpoles
Right.
that they couldn't sell, so they went bust. And it was just a flash idea at the time when I found out I was going to be out of a job. Well, I start my own flag company.
Wow.
And I remember my dad at the time saying, "You can't bloody sew." What are you going to do? So yeah, I didn't want to go back to work sitting behind a hotel reception desk or working in a shop, or so I thought I'll do this. And then I remember I started the business on the same day as the Chris Evans' Big Breakfast show on Channel 4.
Yeah.
September 92. And I was sat on the dining room table at home. I had my typewriter. Young people won't know what that is.
Typewriter, wow.
Yeah, typewriter, sewing machine, telephone. And I thought, what the hell have I done?
But I suppose in a way that's all you needed, wasn't it? It's like if you got your telephone, typewriter, just as a caveat to explain, the typewriter, it's like a word processor, but an analogue one.
Yeah.
It's sort of press a button and a key with a tiny little letter will come up and hit an ink-filled ribbon and give that letter. Wow, typewriters, crazy. So, I mean, when you were at school then, was that, did you sort of look to the future thinking, I want to be my own boss, I want to work for myself? What were your sort of aspirations at school?
I wanted to be an air hostess, but I was too fat.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah. What, yeah.
So you wanted to be an air hostess?
Yeah,
but,
too short, too fat.
I'd wonder whether there were any stipulations like that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I would have thought that would have fallen foul of sort of discriminatory laws, but...
well, not there, not in the 80s.
No, I suppose. No. Oh, well, so, I mean, I suppose it worked out well for you. But so once you did, that was what, you couldn't do that. What did you do then? Was it just a case of just looking for a job? Did you have any kind of direction?
No, there was no college wasn't an option because my parents weren't rich. Right. So I left school at 16 and I got a job as an office junior in an electrical engineering company along Scotswood Road. Right. Called Young's Rewinds. And I sat in a little office with the accountant, Mrs. Harrison, and the boss, Mr. Young, and a little office which overlooked the whole of the factory, where they used to manually rewind electric motors. And it was a lovely time. Mr. Young was very, very set in his ways, and he used to read his newspaper at 10 o'clock every day, and you couldn't speak to him between 10 and 1:30. He used to have his tea made a very particular way, and I used to call him Mr. Young, and the bookkeeper was Mrs. Harrison, and it was all very, very formal and nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's something to be said for that? Do you mean, would you like to see...
Oh, no, not now.
No.
Nah, there's nowhere for that.
Is it a case of like it was just nice back then, but we couldn't go back? With sort of
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right, that's
and then I kind of outgrew that job because I was a junior. So then I moved on to a company called Direct Design, who designed the interiors of pubs and clubs around Newcastle. Right. And if you've ever been in the Blackie Boy, I don't know if it's still called that, down the bottom of the big market. Okay. Let me just say I'm responsible for the names on the toilet doors.
that are supposed to be there, not like carving your initials in.
No, they were there for years in stained glass. Yeah. Oh right. Yeah. Dick and Fanny. I don't know if they're still there, but yeah, they used to send me out to pubs to make sure the paper was being put on the right way, and it was great times. I was there a few years. Great couple of guys, And
it's interesting because you've clearly really enjoyed these jobs.
yeah,
I'm just looking at your face as you're describing. There's some really nice memories coming back to you.
yeah, I love work.
Yeah,
I think you either love it or you don't want to do it.
that's interesting, isn't it? Because just you've said you've gone into jobs. It's not like you've actively sought out, like your air hostess job that you would have sought out didn't work out. And so it's like, well, this job looks like it could be okay, and you kind of taking a chance, but just loved it.
Right.
But I suppose if you're working for nice people, I suppose that does work out. But you do obviously have the other side of things where you maybe not working for such nice people.
Yeah, but if you're not doing something that you love, don't do it. Get another job. There's plenty of jobs out there.
I think that is a good life lesson even now, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and also if you start your own business and it's failing, don't take your blinkers off and do something else.
Yeah.
Or get a job that you might enjoy. You
Yeah.
never know, do you?
It's matter of fact. I think what's interesting though is like, so you get this with a lot of people that have been made redundant. It might be just something that shocks them out of the system. It's like forcing them to make a decision.
Yeah.
And then people do tend to be okay, don't they?
Yeah. You find your way.
You find your way. So, sort of I think it's an old friend of mine once said, he'd read a book and he'd found this quote, jump and the safety net will appear. And that's kind of almost what you're saying in a way.
Risky though.
Well, yeah, taking it a bit literally.
I was listening to Chris Evans this morning on Virgin Radio, and he said, a calm sea never made a good sailor.
True.
And I think in business especially, you learn by experience.
Yes.
And sometimes by your mistakes, and it makes you a better person. And I think jobs are the same, aren't they?
Yeah, it's you're going to either have a career or you're going to have your
Yeah.
business, whatever way it is. And like I say, the way that you improve is certainly by that experience that you've got.
Yeah, you've got to wake up in the mornings and be excited to get to the office or the factory or
Yeah.
wherever your workplace is, I think. And I still enjoy it.
Yes, because I mean, to be fair, would it be reasonable to say that if you didn't want to work at the minute, you wouldn't have to?
No, that's right. I mean, my daughter is running the business, really.
Yeah.
I go in when I want to at the minute. It's a nice...
Yes.
I'm in a nice position.
I was going to say, yeah, but again, that's been built up over the 32 years that you've been together. So if we go back to that 32 years, you've just been made redundant. Was that, did you have to invest redundancy payments into it? How did that help you? Or?
No, because I started working from home. We had a big cellar that was converted into an office. And it was quite easy, it was quite cheap. I borrowed £500 from my dad to buy the equipment, an industrial sewing machine.
Wow.
And some cutting equipment.
I mean, that would have been a lot of money at the time though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, in the 90s. Yeah. He got it back within 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I just called some of the customers that I had with the company I used to work for, which went bust, so obviously couldn't supply. And I knew at the time I was making more flags than I was selling more flags than I was flagpoles.
Right.
And a flag in textile terms is easy to make compared to a jacket, or it's not tailoring. It's a flat product.
I was going to say, so from a storage perspective, I suppose, would it be fair to say it's easier to store your flags, and
yes,
they're not taking up necessarily sort of quite as much room as the equivalent number of flagpoles. So
that's right. Yeah.
Right. So you started up at home. What then?
After 8 years, I had 6 staff or so, and we had to move into industrial premises.
Were the staff around your house initially then?
Yeah. I lived in a like 3-story Victorian house in Black Hill,
Right.
Consett, and we worked on the first floor. I had an office in the cellar, and I lived on the second floor.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, which was where Ashleigh was born and where Ashleigh grew up in the flat on Derwent Street in Black Hill.
Is that still a house then?
Yeah,
your old house?
Yeah, it's just been sold actually.
Oh, right, interesting. I know there's like there's the old bank on that street, isn't there? That's,
Well, it's now a sliding wardrobe company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with the flat above.
All change.
Yeah.
So that's it. So I suppose you well, one of the original home workers then.
Yeah.
And after 8 years, you then found. Was it just you were growing, or was it like you wanted your house back, or?
No, just purely the size of the business. We needed more staff, and we couldn't fit them in. I'm saying we.
What was the cause of the growth then? Was it just a case of that you just found that there was a lot of demand, and so the phone kept ringing for orders?
Yeah, we were good at it.
Yeah.
And we'd built up quite a good customer base, and we had a few good events, football events, and big crowd flags, which led on to bigger crowd flags.
Yeah.
And got us a bit of advertising in the newspapers. We were on the front page of the Independent at one point for putting the Alan Shearer shirt.
Well, that never does any harm, does it?
Yeah, we put that on the Angel of the North.
Was that you?
Yeah, we made that.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know? I've known you all this time. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What year would that have
been? It was 90s. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'm saying that would have been obviously before we met, but I do remember that on all over the media, the news, and at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That would have gone viral had.
Yeah. So that got us on the front page of the Independent, I think it was.
So how did you do it? Or is that a trade secret?
5 o'clock in the morning with a catapult. So the shirt obviously covered the whole size of the whole front of the Angel of the North.
Yeah.
And we tied fishing wire to the corners of the shirt and catapulted a lead weight over the wings of the angel, and there were some guys at the other side who got a hold of the lead weight and just pulled it up.
That sounds really quite incredible. That also doesn't sound easy.
No, it took a few attempts, and it didn't stay up long before somebody reported it, and the police were there. Luckily, the police were really, really good about it, and let us take some photographs before we had to take it down. So
were the police in good humour about it, really?
Of course they were, yeah.
I was going to say, it's like, I mean, it's one of those things. It's I suppose a publicity stunt that you could, but then it's fun. We need a bit more of that, don't we?
Yeah,
we need a bit more of that in life. I think that's really incredible. It's really lucky that you had the skill and expertise with the catapult, though. I mean, who knew?
It wasn't me that fired it.
Was it not? Or
No.
Outsourcing that skill set, but that's just. Well, lucky, I suppose, that you managed to get it on before the police came.
Yeah, it wasn't. We just made the flag. It wasn't our idea. It was a few of the supporters got together, and we're still the same guys who organised that run War Flags now.
Right.
Or one of them anyway. Yeah.
Right, so because I mean, I suppose again, if you look at your likes of TikTok, and that is exactly the sort of thing. Mm-hmm. That would be going on now, that people were going to do this, and they'll obviously. I mean, in terms of having done that, at the time, did you have the foresight to realise that you were going to probably get a lot of business from doing something like that?
You never know. You really can't predict it. It depends who gets hold of it.
Yeah.
It's easier now than it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because of TikTok.
I'm just thinking about, the motivation to get out of bed and go down to the Angel of the North at 5 o'clock in the morning, sit there with catapults and stuff like that, just to get. I mean, I'll take my hat off to you. I don't think I could be bothered to do that, but just the effort that you've made.
Yeah, recently, when Adidas took over the sponsorship of the Newcastle United strip last year, I think. It might have been the year before. We went down to the Tyne Bridge and we made a huge flag to announce that Adidas were taking over. So they dropped that off the town bridge at early hours in the morning, and we were there for that as well.
Wow.
Yeah, that was ordered by Adidas for the launch.
Could there possibly be any direct link? They might have looked at the Shearer shot, or we've got, I suppose maybe have too much time in the middle, haven't we, for that to be a direct link?
Yeah, I think what happened was Adidas contacted, or their agent contacted War Flags.
Right.
Because they'd seen all the huge flags in the ground.
Yeah.
Said, we want a big flag. Would you guys be prepared to help us with dropping it off the bridge? And we'll give you a pair of trainers each. So that's what they did, a favour for a favour. So we had to build in some lead weights along the bottom of the flag to stop it lifting up. And it was done with the permission of the council as well.
Yeah.
Really early in the morning.
Because that's never easy, is it? Getting council permission.
It's all health and safety these days.
Yeah, it is. But no, it is just interesting when you think about, like, sort of now that the focus on social media to get something going viral, and all the meantime there's, because I mean this amazing example with the Shearer's football shirt, and there will be other examples out there, but you know, I suppose it just goes to show that we're just kind of adapting. There aren't any massive innovations. It's just, you know, different ways of capturing it. We've just got cameras on our phones, and we could have done that video for you was certainly gone viral. That's quite incredible. So, I mean, you seem to have been, I think it's fair to say, sort of quite innovative in your thinking all along the way. In terms of, is that just the way, in your view, that your mind works? Are you just constantly looking for those opportunities, seeing opportunities maybe where other people might just be head down and carrying on, or?
I think I've got a good imagination, and I think I'm slightly neurodivergent as well. In me thinking, it's always ticking over. I'm always thinking I'm an overthinker.
Yes.
I don't have any downtime up here.
No, I know where you're coming from with that. It's interesting. I was chatting to a lady, another successful businesswoman, and she was saying that, like, amongst the neurodivergent community, a lot of people with those conditions do end up being self-employed because it just works so much better for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got that level of control.
Yeah, the problem solvers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were asked to put a giant St George flag on the pitch to cover the whole pitch at Twickenham for one of the Rugby World Cups. This was years ago as well, and it's another example of it would have went wild on TikTok or any social media platform. And we made it in 7 sections. So you got the 4 white panels of the St George cross. Yeah. The red stripe down the middle and 2 red stripes going the other way. And we had to go to Twickenham to cable tie it together because we couldn't transport it in one piece. No, it had to go down in 2 transit vans. So we cable tied it together on site. Me and one of the ladies that I work with went down. We were promised a squad of men to help us, but of course we didn't get a squad of men. We got one bolshy supervisor who you can't stand on the pitch. So we eventually ended up with sunstroke at the end of the day, but we got it done. And there was 100 school kids. We're going to grab a handle and run across the pitch with it. So it was the flag was concertinaed at one side of the pitch. 100 school kids grabbed a handle, ran across the pitch with it at the start of the match. So it was televised, and the crowd was all in the stadium, and it was a great spectacle. And one of the kids tripped up and fell underneath the flag. So again, health and safety just wouldn't be allowed these days. Yeah. And the crowd you could hear the crowd go, "Oh!" And then
it's like pantomime, isn't it?
And there was a kind of silence in Twickenham. Yeah. till this head popped up.
I've been to Twickenham. That's not easy either.
Yeah, this little head popped up because we cable tied it every metre.
Right.
This little head popped up through the cable ties and ran across the pitch, and the cheer from the crowd was better than when they scored a whatever they call it in
try,
rugby. Yeah. No,
Absolutely
that was,
fantastic.
yeah.
So with all this stuff that you've done, so there's a couple of incredible stories, and I'm sure if I probe, we'll come up with more. I mean, for your business now, are you on TikTok, Instagram? Are you doing much video content and pushing that way?
No.
It's interesting just because of how it's certainly you've sussed the way that kind of thing works, but you've not sort of jumped on, I suppose, the TikTok, Instagram bandwagon.
Yeah.
Is that because you felt you've not needed to?
I felt I'm too old to get my head around the technology of it all.
Yeah.
The second reason, I don't have time to do it, because I think it takes time, and unless you're going to do it well, it's not worth doing at all.
Yeah.
And the third reason is I think TikTok mainly targets the public.
Yeah.
And the public don't buy flags.
No, I can see where you're coming from.
We're mainly business to business.
Right.
And it's not really seen as a professional approach, unless it's one of the major events that, like the Shearer shirt on the Angel of the North, which might have gone viral. But day to day products that we make or
just not
orders
for you.
that we get, it's not. It's not always the best way, and we're kind of bogged down in day to day running of the business, and it keeps us busy, and it pays the mortgage.
Absolutely. So you've moved to a premises now, dedicated premises. How did that feel? Were you sort of relieved to get your house back? Did it feel like was there an element of pressure on you, I suppose, to like sort of, right, we've got an additional premises to support, we need to get the business up? Or
I just saw it as having more space.
Right.
But the space now is filled with useless stuff that I'll never use, that I've never used for 30 years. I'm not likely to. I'm a bit of a hoarder.
Right. Okay.
But sometimes it works out, because we do use it eventually, all the crap that I keep.
Fantastic. So, and is the premises that you moved to, is that the one that you're in now?
Yeah. It's rented premises in Consett.
Right.
About 2,500 square feet.
Wow.
It's a tidy little industrial estate.
And you rent that?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I was under the impression that you bought, because from memory, I vaguely seem to recall, did you not invest in a recording studio at one point?
Well, yeah, I bought some premises that
right, that's it.
A guy ran a recording studio from, but he disappeared without paying his rent. So,
right.
Yeah, tricky.
Because I think it's, just for the benefit of the podcast, you are a singer as well. Mm-hmm. And
I try.
I mean you're doing yourself a bit of a disservice, a bit of modesty there. I mean you are a very, very good singer and experienced with bands as well, aren't you? And so what prompted this sideline? Was it just an opportunity you'd got to build in? Yeah,
we had a bit of money to invest, so we bought a few buildings.
Right.
Some of them have worked out and some of them haven't.
If you're enjoying this content, please do like and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to let you know exactly when another podcast's going to drop. Right, so I'm just curious as to, because you're renting your premises, but chose to buy others. What was a...
Well, I did buy a building in Ledgate on a whim. And a friend of mine rang me up and said, oh, you're still looking for premises? This was in the early days. And I said, yeah. He says, oh, there's one up for auction this afternoon at Sedgefield Racecourse. It was a property auction. And he says, go and see it, it's ideal. So I went, it was a rainy day, went down to see this old railway shed in Ledgate. And it stopped raining. and a rainbow came out right over the building, and I thought, oh, we've got to have it.
That's a sign.
It's a sign.
It's a sign.
So went to the auction, got this building, and with a view to moving AA flags into this building. Didn't obviously look inside because we didn't have the time, and bought the building, went to look at it, and thought, oh God, it's too industrial.
Yeah.
It's too dirty. It's totally unsuitable for a factory. Anyway, it was an investment, and I've had nothing but bad tenants ever since. And it's a bit of a liability now.
Right.
So
I think that's the thing. It's like sort of with any sort of property, people assume that it's just money rolling in.
yeah.
But I mean, even with like sort of like sort of buy to lets, if you get a bad tenant, you can just lose so much.
That's right. It's a bit of a nightmare.
You're relying on people having those fundamental basic values, aren't you?
Some people have got zero.
Yeah, it's which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But you've got it's an interesting thing with your decision to continue to rent your own whilst buying others, because I think certainly just going back to TikTok, there are a number of financial podcasts, and people have got varying views on whether buying your house is an investment, because obviously a lot of people I think are under the impression that they maybe bought the house 10 years ago and it's gone up in value and therefore that was an investment. And I suppose depending on your view of the term investment, you could say, well, yeah, it's made money, therefore it's an investment. But it's also, it costs you. Whereas, it can, if you've had to do lots of work on it, whereas for your factory, if you're renting it, you know that if there's, I don't know, if the roof caves in, then you speak to your landlord and they've got a duty to get that sorted. I'm not as au fait with like the sort of commercial rental laws and things like that.
Yeah, the industrial estate where we are is a very secure, very tidy, new estate.
Right.
And I was, at the time when we moved in, single parent. I couldn't do maintenance.
No.
So I thought, I've got no maintenance issues. I've got no security issues.
No.
Everything's done there.
So
There's
it just
outside,
so it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you've got investments elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's it, because I mean, with your business, the flags business, that's making money.
Yeah.
You can obviously more than cover your rent. And I suppose it's that sort of spreading your investments. I mean, was that your thought process, just to spread sort of
that's what
different
we've
income
done.
streams?
Yeah.
And it's I mean, obviously you've had a few horror stories.
Yeah, it's not all. It's people think when you're in business it's some sort of picnic every day, but it's not.
Over 32 years, what would you say was your sort of worst point? I mean, did you ever sort of think, I can't do this anymore, I'm going to give up?
COVID was bad for us.
Which is, I think that's crazy when you think about it, isn't it? Like, because I seem to vaguely recall you put something on Facebook saying that you were happy to make a lot of the PPE equipment and things like that.
Yeah.
But you've no means of getting in touch.
Yeah. When COVID hit, the phone stopped ringing. We made the decision, and we have, because we've been trading for 30 years and we have staff that have been with me for 30 years.
Right.
Most of them actually, with the exception of my daughter Ashleigh, who started when she was 16 and she's 27 now. But most of the ladies that I work with have been with me for 30 years.
Yeah.
Some of them were at a retirement age anyway. So when during COVID, I asked them if they wanted to take redundancy.
Yeah.
Because they were nearing retirement age anyway, and some of them took voluntary redundancy, which took a big hit. It was cost us about £60,000 to make a few ladies redundant because they'd been there that long.
Yeah.
Some of them came back when after COVID and as business started growing again,
Yeah.
they came back. But that was just quite a sad time because we shut the factory
Yeah.
for a few months, and there was no events going on because we supply football matches
Yeah.
and country shows and fairs and of any event really. Companies had closed their doors, so they didn't want the
No.
flags on their flagpoles outside. Golf clubs were shut,
Yeah.
so they weren't ordering flags, you know. So yeah, it was a sad time because we had to kind of say goodbye to our friends.
Yeah, because I suppose when you've worked together for that long, and it is a real team effort, and you've grown everything and created something from
Yeah.
nothing really.
Yeah.
I suppose it is like a family, isn't it?
Yeah, and we thought, I mean, Ashleigh, my daughter, and I were having discussions. You know, should we, if COVID continues and this is the end of the world, are we going to just close the factory and cut our losses because we still had to pay rent?
Yes.
We didn't, because I'm a director of a limited company. I didn't get any subsidies or help.
I was in exactly the same situation. Got absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and of course we used the furlough, which paid part of the wages, which helped a little bit, but other than that, we got no grants or anything.
No,
We
tough,
were
wasn't it?
stuck in the middle because although we're part of the leisure industry, we're not a pub or a hotel, so
No.
we didn't get the big grants that
they
industry was getting.
So how did you build back up? Was it just a case of like the doors opened and the orders started coming and everyone was in that situation, I suppose, desperate to build back up?
Yeah, very, very slowly.
Right.
Very slowly. Thankfully, we had a bit of a buffer in the bank. We had a bit of cash that would built up in the bank, so that paid the wages when the cogs were starting to move. But some businesses had nothing. And
I've got to ask, was that luck or judgment?
bit of both, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, clearly you've got quite. I mean, you've also had quite a shrewd business brain,
Yeah.
and it's
But I'm lucky what I chose to do. I remember the first day when I went to get enterprise allowance up with Derwenside Industrial Development Agency when they
Yeah.
were still going. I think they're part of the kind of, it's all Durham Growth now, isn't it?
Yes.
Which are a really fantastic organisation, by the way. When I went to there the first day, you had to attend a week training for starting your own business, and you had to stand up in front of the class and say what you were going to do, and everyone was going to be a mobile hairdresser, or one of them was going to be a mechanic, and someone else was going to do car boot sales. He was going to go and buy loads of rubbish and sell it on car boot sales, and I said, I'm going to have a flag making company. I'm going to make flags. And I could see the guy with his chalk on the blackboard. Why don't you just be a mobile hairdresser, pet, like the rest of them? I said, I don't know how to cut hair. This is all I know.
It's a sign of the times, though, isn't it? Again, just what you've gone through.
Yeah, but there's some things that he did say which made sense.
Yeah.
And he wrote a big pound sign on the blackboard, and he used to love to tap his chalk. He said, don't let anybody kid you, people. This is why you're in business, to make money. You're not a charity. This is why people go into business. Yeah. And I haven't got a lot of patience for time wasters.
No.
And I think that's got me a long way to being a good business person, because there are a lot of time wasters out there.
Yes.
Suppliers, staff, people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
That
It's
just
people, wrong attitudes, that kind of
Yes.
thing. It's,
Yeah.
So I mean, from your 32 years, like I say, I mean, you've certainly stood the test of time. You've had your ups and your downs. What's the sort of biggest? If someone's watching this, they're quite inspired by what you've done. What's the biggest lesson that you think you've learned?
Take your blinkers off. If you go into business, thinking that you have a good idea, it might not be everybody else's idea of good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to diversify a little bit, and listen to other people, listen to your customers, listen to your family. I know some people who are in business and they're losing money every day, but they're loving what they're doing. It doesn't pay the mortgage.
No.
And just, if you take your blinkers off, take all the free advice that's out there. I took it. I listened to a lot, and I researched a lot. And we've diversified over the years. We've recently bought a large format digital printer. And I was saying years ago, oh, we're a traditional flag maker, you know, we'll always sew our flags, and but there's a demand for digital products, and that's incorporated into our product range now.
So moving with the times as well.
Yeah.
And
no,
that's good advice. And so with the future, then you've still got your people that have been with you for some time. You've got your daughter Ashleigh taking over and moving forward, giving you a bit of slack. Is that how you see things developing? Just leave it to Ashleigh and put it in her direction.
Yeah, you never know. She might make a few TikToks.
Brilliant. And on that note, I think that's I'm sure that she'll carry on and take it to new heights. But Mandy, thanks so much for coming on.
You're very welcome. Thank you. I've enjoyed that.